All right. Hi, my name is Travis Lindsay, and I am here for the Connery Center for Entrepreneurship at Cal State Fullerton. And with me today is Joey. Joey, can you please give us a brief background about yourself, your bio, who you are? Why should anybody be interested?
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, my name is Joey Beim. I'm a 2011 graduate of Cal State Fullerton, where I studied entrepreneurship and minored in economics. I grew up in Brea, close to Cal State Fullerton. I'm currently located in Kansas City, Missouri. And I'm also, although I studied business at Cal State Fullerton, I'm a high school Spanish teacher. And most recently also opened up a little small boutique wine and liquor store with my sister.
So you're one of those rare people who, when they graduate college, they move more than 50 miles away from the university.
Yeah, yeah. And I graduated and I worked for a couple of years out in California, and then I went and taught English abroad. So I did 1 year in Hong Kong and then 2 years in South America. So I moved around quite a bit, and then
Very
found
cool.
myself back here in Kansas City.
Do you have any lessons to share from that experience, moving abroad, teaching English?
Oh, it was great because once I graduated, got my business degree there, and I worked in sales for a couple of years, and I just wanted something totally different. So going abroad opened up my eyes to, I mean, so many different cultural aspects, and just being able to see the world. But also really got me interested in language. So teaching English first, and then like later on learning Spanish to a high enough level, and then I came back to the States and I did my master's in second language acquisition and in Spanish, which kind of oddly enough really got the wheels turning and like got my entrepreneurship ideas going again with language.
Yeah, so my background on Spanish is that I took it for 3 years in high school.
Uh-huh.
I passed the classes, do not remember anything from it.
Uh-huh.
And for the last year or so, I've been on Duolingo pretty much every
Nice.
day, trying. I think I almost have a 350-day streak on there. So
That's great.
that's good.
Very cool.
But if I actually tried to have a conversation with anybody in Spanish, I would, fail miserably.
Yeah.
So
Right. You got to go through that, and then it just gets easier and easier. It's
yeah.
never super easy, but yeah.
Yeah, I moved out to right outside of Austin, Texas, about 4 years ago now. So I'm
Okay.
one of the few people who actually moves away from where they went to school.
Okay. Cool.
And I tried to order tacos once at a place where they only spoke Spanish, and
Uh,
it quickly devolved into me pointing at the different stuff I wanted on
yeah.
my tacos. But
Yeah. That's right.
that's just me.
Give it a shot.
Hopefully your students are much better than I am. So, speaking of entrepreneurship, I know that you and your family have opened a boutique liquor store and bottle shop. It's called River Market Liquor.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. And what exactly is a bottle shop? I must admit, I've never heard that before.
Yeah. So, I guess the we've reason we kind of describe it that way is when we were opening and getting our license. I mean, we are calling it a liquor store, but a lot of people in their mind picture lottery tickets and cigarettes and all that kind of stuff, where we really focus on wine, whiskey, beers, and spirits, but also like little party gifts and bags. And we have like a little section of kind of like specialized snacks and things like that. So it's not really your typical almost like 7-Eleven or kind of gas station liquor store. It's we try to have it be a bit more a bit classier, I guess.
Got you. Okay, so because of your experience in language, you realize, okay, if we just say liquor store, then people are going to think X, but if we say bottle
Yeah.
shop, it's a much higher class kind of an
Yeah.
establishment.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah, so I see the same thing. Like I smoke cigars, right?
Uh-huh.
And there's smoke shops and they sell cigars and everything else you can think of. It's usually, the cheaper stuff. But if I ever see a cigar lounge, that's kind of the
Yeah.
indicator that it's something that's a little bit more. So
Yeah. Sends a
so
different message. Yeah.
right, yeah, exactly. So what other ventures have you been up to?
So when I was finishing my master's in Spanish, I worked really hard on an online course where I was really trying to target intermediate and advanced Spanish learners, where they could learn through short stories. And I wrote the short stories myself. I took a class on it and really started to enjoy it, and it incorporated a lot of higher level grammar items that the intermediate and advanced learners have trouble with, and kind of put them into a broader context where you see the uses of these items, like wrapped up in a story with characters and dialogue and things like that, rather than probably what you're used to and probably what you remember from Spanish classes, like the conjugations and the charts and all of that, which are important, and it does lay it out in a way that you can see all of the options and how the verb forms will change. But then I combined that with stories and with comprehension questions and all of that. Trouble I ran into was finding a way to really find that market of intermediate and advanced learners, because everyone does, Duolingo or Babbel, things like that, and there's so many kind of like beginner steps for learning Spanish. It was really hard for me to find that market of intermediate and advanced speakers. So yeah, that was kind of my first venture. And I still, while the online course and websites, I even tried a little podcast with it and stuff, and had interviews with native speakers and friends to kind of add more content for people to use to learn. But yeah, it was very, very difficult to find that market. And I eventually gave up. I did multiple social media campaigns, sent the stories out for free to other teachers for them to try to like get feedback. But ultimately I stopped the online course, and I still sell the stories and that like grammar lessons online to other teachers. So I have been able to make a little bit of money out of it, but yeah, it was a good learning process for sure.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Like, if for everybody who's watching this, I mean, that's something to keep in mind. Not everything's going to be successful, right? And
Yeah,
even the companies that do get venture backing, they get hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Something like 90 some odd percent of those companies fail within
right.
about 5 years.
Okay.
So this is just part of the process, right? So
Yeah.
you went through it, you created the content, and you've actually sold some stuff. So that's a huge plus.
Yeah.
What other do you have any other ventures that you've been doing since then?
Yeah. So right before we opened up the liquor store, I took students to Europe from my high school, and we did a lot of walking tours. So when I came back from that, I thought, well, I like my city and I like history, so I thought I could do a walking tour. So I was getting everything kind of going with that, as far as a website and a like an app to have things scheduled, and even like getting a logo and website and stuff like that. But that's about when we opened up the store, and we got our license. So I kind of that took away all my time from that. But I think going through all that process, including with the online course and website from the Spanish website, are like really getting my brain going as far as like branding and marketing and your name, and just having like easy ways for people to find you. Kind of all that made it easier once we got going with the liquor store.
Very cool. And so you've done all these things, a lot of it language, now bottle shop. You're also a Spanish teacher. Uh, but before all that, you were a student at Cal State Fullerton. You
Right.
graduated, you said, in 2011. You minored in economics, and you majored in entrepreneurship. Are there any lessons from your time as a student, specifically in the entrepreneurship class? Because I mean, this is an interview for the
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship Center. Do any of those lessons, stick out in your mind?
Yeah, I think definitely the consulting projects that you do in the program. I remember specific conversations that I had with like our student group, as well as with the clients, that have now kind of come back, and I kind of see that as applicable in this business with the liquor store. For example, we did a project with a relocation company that moved um, companies' employees around the world, and I was doing the finance and financial analysis that semester, which was not my strong suit, but I learned a lot. Even just going through the numbers was definitely I learned a lot from that. But I remember going over their pricing and the different strategies that they employed determine what the pricing would be for the year. And it was like, I remember him specifically saying it's whatever the market will bear. And like having him just break down to me like how that would change from year to year and what that meant was a huge eye opener. Because like you would hear things like that in class, but here I was having a real conversation, looking at real numbers for a business. Yeah, that's yeah, it made it that much easier to kind of comprehend when we were opening this up and you're talking to distributors and different reps about pricing. And then like, okay, now I kind of understand what they were going through, even though it's a totally different business, about, okay, what will this market bear in this neighborhood, right? We're not going to be able to beat Costco or Total Wine, those kinds of things, but what can we charge for this to make the business viable?
Yeah, there's a couple of really good nuggets there. One I think kind of ties back into the whole Spanish, learning a different language, not even just Spanish, any language, you actually have to be immersed in it, right? To
Yeah,
really
for
start to
sure.
understand it. So it's great
Uh-huh.
to do Duolingo every day, get all your points and all that stuff. But
Yeah,
if you're not talking with somebody, if you're not, learning how the language is actually spoken and how conversations actually happen,
yeah,
then you're not going to really get the most out of it. And so that's,
right,
on me. And so that's where those projects come in, right? So
right.
it really does bridge the gap between, what you learn in the book and actual practical
Yeah,
experience. You actually get to
exactly.
implement the stuff that you're learning in class,
Yeah.
and learning more from it. And then also on the pricing side, one of the things that I always see, and this is, especially with students, but also, first time entrepreneurs, is that their first thought goes on the pricing side, at least, to try to make it as cheap as possible, right? Because
Uh-huh.
that's the only way people are going to buy your stuff. And that's just really not true. And I'm sure
Right.
you're seeing that a lot in the bottle shop
Yes.
business, right? So, like I'll go to the cigar lounge, and a big part of the value there, even though the cigars might be a little bit more expensive, is that I get to rely on the expertise of the guys and gals that are working there, and they can point
Right.
me out to different stuff. And
Yeah.
so that's something else that it sounds like you guys are doing with the bottle shop as well,
Yes,
right?
definitely, definitely. I think more recently too, I was thinking back to another semester we did a project with a salon that I think there was some hairstylists that had bought the salon where they were working and kind of going through the whole process of really like putting systems in place as far as like new hires and like payroll and all of those things. And I remember talking to them about, yeah, the importance of putting things in writing, especially like for new hires and going through things with like partners, to where it really makes it easier on yourself. And we're seeing this now with the liquor store, about putting those systems in place to make it easier for us, where it's like, okay, I don't have to do everything. I have certain certain tasks that now our employees can do, where in the beginning I was having to do everything, and it was difficult to yeah, like divide those tasks up. But now we have systems in place and like checklists, daily things that go on, where it's like, okay, I can kind of step back and let that happen. And it reminded me of that salon that we consulted with that semester.
Yeah, that's a big one, right?
Yeah,
Putting the systems in place, making the business work for you so that you can work on the business as opposed to
exactly.
working inside of it. So
Right,
that's a huge thing. How long have
right.
you had a River Market Liquor
A
open
little
for?
over a year.
A little over a year. Well,
Yeah.
that's awesome, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
going
nice
good.
now we have like year over year numbers that we can compare to, so things are looking good. But yeah, the first couple of months it was like, okay, is this going to work? Is it not? But yeah, I think we're now that a lot of those systems are in place and we're able to compare year over year numbers. Yeah, we feel good about it.
So what convinced you and your family that you could do something like this?
Yeah, so it's actually been a dream of mine for quite a while. It wasn't in one of the entrepreneurship classes, but in one of my marketing classes at Cal State Fullerton, I did kind of a market analysis of like different tiers of liquor stores. And initially, so back in, I think it was 2004, 2006, I have an uncle and he bought a liquor store. And so I went and like worked with him during the summer and got to see how his business was. And I really liked it. And that kind of idea was in my head during my time there at Fullerton, and I did that market analysis and kind of saw the difference between just a regular, almost gas station kind of liquor store to like a world market that has like wines from around the world, and then something even more higher class than that. So yeah, the idea was there for a while, and then we're in a neighborhood called the River Market, and it's just adjacent to downtown. And I've lived here for the last couple of years. And my sister, who I'm a business partner with, used to live down here. And we've always felt like the neighborhood was underserved. There's a lot of young professionals here, and there wasn't, a real like dedicated liquor store. There's a gas station nearby. There's an organic grocery store nearby that had both have small selections. So we thought, okay, this could be a prime area for that. And once we started looking at different locations, and then almost all of them were too big. Like we would have needed too much upfront capital to fill those spaces. But we found a place that's 1,100 square feet. We have some storage in the basement, but it's, the perfect size for us. And it's owned by, the building's owned by a family. So it's not some big corporation we're dealing with. And everything just kind of fell into place. But the neighborhood itself has loads of like classic, old traditional character, old brick buildings, stuff like that. So we've really kind of, played into that as far as our marketing goes, with like Art Deco and kind of like giving it some of that classic charm. So it's been a lot of fun to figure that part of it out as well.
Well, it sounds like you're doing everything right. I mean, you've got the branding down, you're putting systems in place, you are doing it the right way. Do you have any plans for expansion in the future?
Yeah, we actually do. We're flirting with the idea of opening another store, and it's really, it's maybe a mile away from our current store. But it's kind of another neighborhood where it's highly residential, young professionals, and there's nothing really. There's a grocery store that would be like a couple blocks away, but as far as like a kind of neighborhood liquor store, there's nothing. And Kansas City is lucky enough to be hosting some of the World Cup games next summer. And there's actually grants that are becoming available for local businesses to expand, to fill up empty storefronts. So we've started to look at different locations. We're kind of running into similar problems as far as those spaces being too big for us. But that's something we're toying with right now.
And the World Cup, if I remember my Spanish correctly, that's football in Spanish, right?
Football,
Okay.
yeah, muy bien.
Oh, hey, maybe this Duolingo stuff's actually working.
Yeah.
At the end of all these interviews, the question I always ask, and this is just to make my job a lot easier, because this is one of those wonderful open-ended questions where you can take it whichever way you want. But if you could, go back to give yourself advice back in 2011, or even like a year or two before that, before you graduated from Cal State Fullerton, what advice would you give to yourself?
That's a good question. And I think it's the same advice that I give to a lot of my students, is that like follow your interests, right? And then your interests will kind of carry you to higher level thinking, and you'll have the passion to, even if it's something that's very difficult, you have the passion to really spend time to learn something, to be better than the next guy, right? So if you're not really into something, you don't have really an interest in it, it's going to show, and you're never really going to really excel beyond, just an average level. So for me, after getting out of school, Spanish and language became that kind of interest. And I followed that. And obviously I wrote those stories and launched a website, failed, which was fine, and something that I had to learn to get through, but I learned a lot from the process. And then like more recently, I've been to architecture and design, and I've had those certain elements and that knowledge that I've learned from that and put it into the store. And and I think it's our customer in the neighborhood has responded to it well. So I think the biggest thing is follow your interests, and let your interests kind of guide you to higher level thinking and analysis, and will like really push you to spend the time to really understand something. That way you can excel at it.
Yeah, because any entrepreneurial activity takes a lot of time, right? I mean, I'm
So
sure
much.
you were probably spending, how much time did it take on a weekly basis when you started River Market Liquor?
Oh, I was here every day. And what was difficult is I have a full-time job.
Right.
So, and so does my sister. She's a high school photographer. So we're kind of, we're very busy during the school year, and we got our license in April. So we still had 2 months until summer break. And it was a lot of late nights putting up the shelves, getting the cooler situated, meeting with reps and distributors, and even getting things put on the shelf. So early on, I was here every day, and now we've got a couple employees and kind of those systems in place where I'm here probably two or 3 days a week, either putting in orders, meeting with reps, setting up tastings, fun stuff like that rather than just working the register.
Well, Joey, this has been great. Is there anything else that we should that we haven't talked about so far that we should be talking about?
I think the only thing I would add is like those consulting projects that we were talking about earlier were a huge benefit to interviews when I graduated from the program there. Because while in college, I worked in restaurants. I also worked at World Market, which were great jobs, but I didn't have any, kind of corporate or kind of business focused positions while I was in school. So having those conversations with clients, working on those projects, were a huge selling point for me in those initial interviews after college, getting a professional job.
Yeah, the consulting projects. Whenever I talk with any other students who went through the program, that's something that they always bring up as a
Yeah.
positive. Even though
Oh
when
yeah.
you're going through it, it's not so much a positive, right? I mean,
Right.
it's a lot of
It's a lot of
hours.
work. Yeah.
It's a lot of work, but
Yeah.
it's worth it in the end. So, Joey, thank you very much. And where can we find you?
Yeah, check us out on Instagram, River Market Liquor. That's probably the best way to keep up with what we're doing and kind of see what we're doing as far as branding goes and events and fun stuff like that.
Very cool. Well, the next
Yeah.
time I'm in Kansas City, Mo, I will drop by and say hello.
Sounds good. Yeah, come check us out.
All right. Thank you, Joey.
Thanks, Travis.